So listen up, moms and dads out there. There are these programs called Medicaid and CHIP. They offer free or low-cost health coverage for kids. Things like doctor and dentist visits, prescriptions, and shots are covered. All the stuff that keeps kids like me healthy and in charge.
So, as you can tell, a covered kid is a confident kid. And it means confident parents, too. To learn more about affordable health coverage for your family, visit healthcare.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. That's 1-877-543-7669.
Yep, you could do something big for your family today because enrollment is open year-round.
This has been a message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
And Sophia.
WPHT, WPHT-HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Piazza Premium Automobile Studios, powering your drive with 10 brands and 20 locations. Always live on the free Odyssey app. It's Barry, Sable, and Friends on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Raise that music, sir. Yes, indeedy. You know, Kirk, we have a few more moments. Let's continue to listen. It's a special day. It's Mother's Day. All righty. Well, good morning. You have tuned in to the Barry Sable Show with Friends. Grateful to you for joining us on this Mother's Day and hoping all mothers are having a very special time. Yes, we are streaming live on YouTube and responding to your thoughts in the chat room. Sitting in studio is simply the Pac-Man. No more Steve, no Packaradoonie, just Pac-Man. Pac-Man, today we are in for a real eye-opening treat. Your thoughts?
Well, happy Mother's Day, first off. First and foremost, to my beautiful wife, Gina, happy Mother's Day.
Yep.
My wonderful mother, Connie, 87 years young.
Wow.
And she has more energy than both of us combined, Barry. But I want to say happy Mother's Day to them. And my favorite mother-in-law, Carol Doms. I want to say happy Mother's Day to her, too. And I am pumped and excited.
Yes,
You have a fantastic guest coming on today. Yep. And I am looking forward to informing our listeners of what is truly, truly happening at the border.
Yep. Let's get busy, Pac-Man. I met my guest about this time last May when I visited the Yuma, Arizona border with the Morgan Ortegas group. I quickly learned that our guest served in multiple locations throughout his illustrious career in law enforcement, holding key leadership positions across the southern border and in Washington, D.C., known for his matter of fact and honest approach. Yes, sir. Chief Chris Clem has been on the front line in the border in both El Paso, Texas, get it right, it's early, and Yuma, Arizona. He is no stranger to the Barry Sable Show with Friends. He has been here before, seen all over Fox News, amongst other television and radio stations. Well, has just completed 100 days as a senior advisor to Robert Kennedy Jr. Could not wait all week for this interview. Chief Chris Clem, by the way, it has been quietly been told to me, in your spare time for sport, you hunt poisonous snakes in the night air of the desert. Of course, catch and release. Chief Clem, true or false?
Good morning. We ended catch and release, all right? The Trump administration ended catch, so I catch these snakes. Yeah, right. Good morning, Barry.
Good morning.
I didn't realize we were interviewing. The request was intervention. I thought it's so early. Intervention with Barry's friends. So I didn't realize this is an interview. So I'm switching gears real quick. Yeah.
Listen. Let's just admit the truth. While we're live on the air, you love your Uncle Barry. Not many would get up 7 o'clock in the morning to sit and talk to Uncle Barry because you know I'm some kind of pain. You know it, and from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you spending time with me.
You're the best, Barry. I appreciate it. I love our banter. I know we're joking about some things right now. We're going to talk about a serious subject, but we also need to have a little levity in life so we can kind of take it all in and clear our head and make the the best decisions going forward. So I look forward to spending some time with you this morning.
Yes. So let me ask you a question right out of the chute. Xavier, I guess you would say Becerra, was the former United States Secretary of Health, which is the HHS. And I'll clue our listeners in. Stands for the United States Department of Health and Human Services. It's a cabinet level agency within the U.S. federal government that protects the health of Americans and provides essential human services. So my question to you is, what was the Biden administration and this gentleman, were they sitting on their tuchus and doing nothing while all these kids were coming into this country? Nobody knows what happened to them, sir. Tell us.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So Becerra was the secretary under Biden-Harris. He's actually was a former attorney general out of California. And, he was the secretary that oversaw the Office of Refugee Resettlement. That's the agency within Health and Human Services is responsible for, they basically got two major programs for refugee resettlement, for when the State Department determines a class of a person is a refugee, they'll work with the Office of Refugee Resettlement. We will call it ORR.
Mm-hmm.
But the other piece, which is really the crux of it, is the unaccompanied alien children, and that program is responsible for the placement of any child that is in the U.S. illegally, that is 17 years or younger without a family member. If Border Patrol encounters them at the border, the people at the ports encounter them, or anywhere in the United States, if they're an undocumented alien child, they go. It is the responsibility of ORR to take them into custody and place them with a sponsor. And so, yes, everything is top down. Starts with the White House to the secretary, from the secretary down to the agency head. So over the last 4 years under the Biden administration, there's been 479,000 unaccompanied alien children that came in the United States and were placed into some sort of sponsorship within the United States. Now, just so your listeners understand, is there's 4 categories of sponsors.
Mm-hmm.
Category 1 is the parent or legal guardian of this child. Category 2 would be another adult family member. Category 3 would be an unrelated adult. And then category 4 is an ORR foster care shelter. So ideally, and on the front end, you would want to place them with their parent. But here's where it gets a little kind of sticky, and where policies, ideologies, and people like Becerra play a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
The parent. Okay, if the child is entering the country illegally, unaccompanied, yet there is a parent already here in the United States, okay, that is where the government was completing the smuggling cycle, because we were not asking the immigration status of the sponsor. We were not doing proper background checks of the sponsor. If they could just provide some kind of evidence and on paper sign a document and submit it that they were the parent or legal guardian of the child, they were being placed. And
but let me interrupt you for 1 second, Chris.
Before
Before I let Pacman join in, let me see if I get the story straight. I was there with you last May. So I watched this happen. I watched the NGO. I don't even want to call it vetting. To me, that was a joke. So, but let me just see if I understand and the listeners understand. So these kids come unaccompanied through the border. Now, and number one, my first question is, there is word that parents were selling their kids. Number one, do you find that to be true? And number two, the parents came here first, are you trying to say, or is it said, and then the kids came in afterwards, and they were going to try and locate the parents to the kids? None of this made any sense to me when I was down there. Maybe you could clarify that for me.
Well, you're right about all of it. First of all, the NGOs that we worked with down in Yuma were actually one of the better ones in the process. They were not. They took the migrants after they were released from Border Patrol, so they were not part of the vetting system. But the kids, you're absolutely right. The parents were either already here illegally or overstayed, or even in some cases maybe legally, which
Well, why
it
didn't
makes
they
no
just come
sense.
with their kids, Chris?
Well, because it's usually how the smuggling system worked. The smugglers, the cartels, controlled that. See, if you came to the border and used a smuggler to come to the United States, and they said, no, we're going to separate you, or we're going to, we're going to use this as kind of like a collateral, so we make sure you get where you're going and you pay us or pay us off. That's one option. The other thing too is the parents would get over here and then establish themselves, and then that way they feel, hey, I made it. I didn't get arrested. I know where I got a job. I'm set up. Then they'll send for the kids. It doesn't make any sense because
No.
it is just so frustrating because there is an ideology out there. There is a progressive liberal voice out there that thinks that we are separating families and we're causing these problems. No, it is actually the policies of the U.S. government,
Yes.
especially under the previous administration, and this idea that everybody has the right to come here to the United States and you can just violate our laws and we're going to feel sorry for you and give you a free bite at the apple. Look, this is such the practices and things that I've dealt with, and I've been in this space now for 30 years.
Yep.
And I was not surprised at anything I uncovered the last 100 days. I was shocked at a few examples, but these kids and the practices of the Biden administration to just basically just accept
Unconscionable to me. Yep.
Yeah, it is. The numbers out there are just they're not as staggering as they initially came out during one of the reports. A lot of things have been caught up. We're finding kids. We're connecting dots. But getting back to the crux of the initial question is the Secretary Becerra at the time and his I won't even call them leadership team, the people that were in charge of his agencies failed the kids, they failed the community, they failed the United States, and they failed the world in the sense of protecting.
So callous, so
protecting
cold,
children.
Chris, so everything. I wanted to make that point this morning because this was despicable behavior from the United States of America, and there's no denying it. Go ahead, Steve. I know you have some questions for Chris. Go ahead, Pac-Man.
Good morning, Chief. Thank you for joining us so early this morning, too. So basically, it's a statement and a question at the same time. I'm sure the Biden administration was aware of the situation with these unaccompanied children, but it's apparent they didn't care what was happening to them. So my question to you is, when the Democrats were in charge, could they possibly be that heartless and uncaring about these children, especially the girls?
Yeah. Look, right off the bat, one of the many executive orders that Biden did in his first 100 days, and I think a lot of the things with the border and immigration was done within the first couple weeks. I mean, he suspended the actual processing, the appropriate processing and charging unaccompanied children. We call those NTAs, notices to appear. Everybody that crosses the border that gets put in an immigration proceeding, which is everybody. There's some different rules, but every child is supposed to be given an NTA. He suspended that for 120 days. And what that did was it allowed or called for basically a very simple screening, and you release these kids to ORR who placed them. And their theory was, well, once they're with their sponsor, who could be the parent or a loved one, then we'll go and serve them their documents because that sponsor
This is nuts,
will be
Chris.
able to take care of them. Well, that's how we lose people because
Of course.
here's something that may surprise you. They don't tell us the truth when we process them. And so we get an address in California, and the sponsor gives us a bogus address in California, and then 120 days later, the immigration enforcement agencies like ICE go to serve an NTA, and there's nobody at that address.
So here's my question to you,
lot.
not to interrupt. So now you guys take office. Mr. Trump is in the White House. You're hired, and you're working with Kennedy. My question is, did you go back and look at the former records, and was those records of any value to you in trying to help find these kids?
Yeah, so that's basically what I did. I was asked right about Christmas time to come up for 90 to 100 days to Trump's first 100 days, maybe longer if I wanted it. I said, no, I'll come up for 100 days. You know, I've been retired. I didn't want to move my whole family, so it was a 100-day sprint. And,
Snakes.
And honestly, man, we the first couple of weeks was rough trying to get everything up and running. But my gosh, we went from transactional to transformational. So what I did immediately is look, we had to stop the leak. We had to figure out what policies and practices were in place. We switched those things. Like we basically said, look, you have to comport with, just like any U.S. citizen, any other laws. You must require documents that are equivalent to our I-9, which is our immigration documentation. When you apply for a job, you got to fill that out.
Yep.
We said, look, you have to have these documents that are based on the law. You have to provide a valid driver's license or passport, something that identifies you, proof of income, proof of residency, all of these things that you and I would have to fill out if we were going to do something like this.
Of course.
We required fingerprinting of the adult sponsors, the adult sponsor, and all adults in the household, because we saw so much horror of fake applications. So we put all these things in place. We worked directly with law enforcement to make sure from the beginning of the encounter that the investigation starts, and not just, whether a kid, they go to Health and Human Services. No, we're going to investigate this. So we stopped that leak. We plugged that leak right off the bat.
Let me ask you a question, interrupt. Did you meet, hold on one second, did you meet with Becerra at any time, or that wasn't of any value and you just said, hey, they screwed up the whole thing anyway, what am I going to meet with them for? For him?
No, those are politicals. They were out, man. Those guys are, we all the political appointed people in every department across the government were out by January 20th. We met with some of the careers that were part of that, and obviously a lot of them, it kind of, worked with us to find the problems and fix it. Many of them took the fork on the road options, and probably smart, because they would have been fired if not prosecuted. But to your point there, what we've done is we have been going. We set up a team, right, to go back and look at literally hundreds of thousands of files, because just in a random sampling of over 1,000 files, 70% have some kind of fraud in the application by the sponsor. So we're going back and we are turning over these leads, and so we've got a lot of cleaning up to do. But here's something that was just like, talk about an atrocity and a complete failure by Becerra and his team. Back early March, we found a tranche of 56,000 notices of concern that went unanswered.
Oh, you got to
August
be kidding.
2023. Yeah.
Wow.
So a notice of concern is when is somebody associated with the child from the time they were in sponsorship to the release to a sponsor. Now, for your sake and the audience sake, a notice of concern can range from my sponsor, took my Game Boy away and the kid just called and complained, or I didn't like the food they're serving me at this with the sponsor, or this person's some strangers coming into my room every night and touching me inappropriately. We've got notice of concern that range from just kid being having access to a phone and complaining to some horrific things. We peel back more layers. Basically, we started with 65,000 unanswered notices of concern just a little over 2 months ago, and we've knocked down. Right before I left, I think we put another team together, and we had been reconciling and closing and turning over leads. We knocked out about over 15,000 just in a matter of a month. Wow. It's a lot of work.
Chief, if I may just jump in real quick, when you're saying these numbers of 65,000 of these reports, what is the average age of the child that's involved with these reports?
It varies because it's not necessarily always the child that's calling in. It could be a neighbor, a family member that heard about something. I don't have an age, but I can tell you most of the average age of the unaccompanied children we catch or encounter is around 13, 14 years old. So, it varies, right? But these what we call them knocks can be anybody associated with that individual. It could be a neighbor that knows that someone is a sponsor of these kids and call. But here's the point about that is out of that 65,000, I'm sure there's multiple. We know that there's multiple calls that we kind of consolidate and collate. Some are tied with open investigations, so we can knock those down. The fact is that it was 65,000 opportunities to maybe make a difference and save a kid that just went unanswered because they had one employee assigned to that. Now, I don't care how great that employee is. You know, they could never do it alone, but I also fault that employee and that employee supervisor for setting that system up for failure, which is what we are uncovering as we're going through and peeling back layers of what was left behind. It was almost, done purposely that you could never connect the dots. Unfortunately, they didn't expect President Trump to win and come into office and put a team together, say, we're going to fix this. Remember, and I'll be quiet here, he had, when it comes to immigration and border security, the president had three priorities. He's going to secure the border. He's going to, crank up immigration, interior enforcement to go after public safety and national security threats, and then we're going to go find the kids. And so, to me, where I was sitting was the third leg of that stool, and that was fix the Office of Refugee Resettlement, provide everything we possibly can to law enforcement to go find those kids, complement them, supplement their investigations, whatever we have to do, and we're doing it. And there's been several thousand already that have been encountered, recovered, that have been re-referred back to the appropriate shelters. It's an ongoing operation. I won't get into too much tradecraft, but I can tell you that we are well on our way. I was looking at headlines today. Even FBI's number 2, Dan Bongino, was talking about child exploitation and how things are ramping up. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Sadly, we won't find every one of them because things have happened, right? But we're going to. I can tell you this with utmost confidence that we put the practices and policies in place to prevent this type of atrocity from ever happening again. As long as we have the leadership of a RFK Jr. and a President Trump, that are putting this as a priority, and it's policy, so it changes by administration. So we still need Congress to come in and codify things with laws and bills to ensure that this never happens again, and it just doesn't change with a new administration.
Well, I want to get back to one thing, and then we'll get back to the welfare of these kids. What role is Mexico playing today that they didn't under the Biden administration, number one? And we never hear anything. Is the wall being built today? I watch news constantly, and I don't see any news about that. Nothing.
Yeah, so first question, Mexico is back to being a solid, or I won't say solid, but a much better partner than they were the previous 4 years under Biden. We really had a great relationship under Trump 45 because he used the power of D.C. It is now, has gotten back to where I'd say not completely rock solid like we've had it before because they're just trying to work things out. We've had Trump really put some pressure on Sheinbaum, the president there in
Do
Mexico.
they have the army at the border? Their side?
They are working on that, and Mexico is not poised like we think they are. I mean, the cartel is very prevalent in what's going on there, so they're working their best to get to where we need them to complement us on the border, and there are places where that is happening. I don't think we're where we want to be yet because people are still crossing illegally from Mexico, and Mexico is stepping up, but they're not where they need to be. They'll get there, I'm pretty sure, based on things that I'm aware of.
How about the wall?
Yeah, the partnership is there. It is getting shored up. I think there's tariff issues and other things that are still on the negotiating table. I think that will keep them from coming up to be 100% lockstep.
And the wall?
Wall is being built as we speak, right? So there are places. I was just on the phone with some of my friends and former colleagues in Yuma. some of the gaps are starting to be construction is being built there. We've got a lot of new requests for proposals that are out there. So there's contracting going back. There's a lot of money that's put in this reconciliation bill, that is going to finish the job. What we've learned and what Trump learned after his first term was you got to get it done while you can, because we right now, look, this is crazy. December of 23, right? That's when it really Biden was completely underwater. Like, oh my gosh, this is the worst it's ever been. They started, panicking, and we're going to do this congressional bill. It's got to be a bipartisan bill, blah, 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 blah. We were averaging over 10,000 arrests a day in December of 23. We're averaging 250 a day now.
Yeah.
And guess what? No bipartisan, comprehensive, toughest immigration bill ever. No, we had a president that had a set of that said we're gonna close the border. It's about national security. It's about making America safe. And look how we dropped from 10,000 a day at some of our highest numbers to averaging 250 a day across a 7-day period.
Go ahead, Pac-Man.
It is
Chief.
man.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's amazing numbers. We didn't need, any legislation. We just needed a new president. So, but I have a question for you. And it involves children, and that is a nonpartisan issue when it comes to children anywhere in the world. I got to ask you this: did any of the Democrat governors, Congress members, senators ever contact you about the welfare of these children or inquire about their safety before you retired and now when you came back for the 100 days?
I like that point, Pac-Man. Go ahead, Mr. Chief.
No, they didn't. They never.
I'm sorry, Chief. Well, I won't let you get it out, but I just want you to say it again. So you said, I asked you if any of the Democrat governors, Congress members, or senators contacted you about the welfare of these children, and I'm correct in saying that you just said no, they didn't care.
No. Only 2 times did they ever inquire about kids. That was when Trump was president, and I was the deputy chief in El Paso, Texas. So this would have been 2018, 2019, 2020 timeframe. We had a child who died in the hospital with her dad that had been in the country approximately 16 hours. So they came down and called us murderers, even though she had sepsis and all this. It had nothing to do with being in our custody. And we had another child that died of the flu. They came down to call us murderers and blame the Trump administration on these kids dying in our custody. It wasn't about what are the kids doing here anyway? Why were kids being, coming across the border at 3 o'clock in the morning with 100 strange people? It was about they died under Trump's watch. That was to the extent of their concern, besides some photo ops that you've seen from Cortez, AOC, in front of empty cages. But as far as what are we doing? How do we stop this? How can we help with the kids? As chief or deputy chief, I've never had a governor. I never had a congressman or woman or senator from the Democratic Party ever come and ask me, what can we do to help? How can we make this work? How can we take the R and the D off our names and just look what we're doing to do the right thing? No, it was about political agenda. They didn't care. It was about a photo op and a press conference. And it was about bashing the leadership at the time, which would have been Trump. And for the 2+ years I was chief down there in Yuma under Biden, no one even asked. And one last thing, if I could add to this, go back and look at the confirmation hearing by the Senate for RFK Jr. because he is responsible for the Office of Refugee Resettlement. Only 2 questions were asked, and they were by Republicans, about will you work with the Office of Refugee Resettlement and our office to make sure that we prevent this from happening to kids again and work with law enforcement to find the kids. He agreed to that. No Democrat asked about that because they know that they were complicit in the atrocities that occurred because they allowed this kind of stuff to happen on their watch, and they didn't even bring it up. But they sure did worry about what he felt about Big Pharma. But they did not ask a single question because it would nail Biden and his administration and their Democratic friends to the cross that they were responsible for allowing this kind of stuff to happen.
Listen, Chief, we're up against the break, but let me agitate you for the next 3 minutes while we're listening to commercials. Mayor of New York getting arrested for trespassing on the ICE facility. Raz Baraka, this progressive approach. Why don't we take a break? Let you simmer over that one and tell us what your thoughts on that. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends, talking to my friend, Chris Clem. We will see you on the other side.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy. Pretty much hands off, They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief. The best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840. 800-354-2840.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was gonna unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Hey, Royers Ford, remember to tell your smart speaker to play 1210 WPHT.
Yes, indeed, we are back on this Mother's Day. We are talking to my friend, Chief Chris Clem. I couldn't ask for a better guest today. Incidentally, I want to correct. I think I said New York. It's Newark. Nevertheless, whether it's New York, Newark, or anywhere in this country. I don't like what's going on. Pac-Man, go ahead. Why don't you lead out?
Yeah. Well, Chief, first and foremost, what's happening in Newark was unbelievable. What would happen to a civilian if they, A, attacked an ICE agent or a border agent or tried to break into a facility?
Well, you know what? One of Barry's favorite movies, quoted by, the late Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday, is "I'm your Huckleberry."
That's right.
What would happen.
Yep.
That's what would happen to you.
Yep.
You cannot assault a police officer. You cannot assault a federal officer. If you put your hand on one, especially in a defiant way, you're going to jail. That's assault. So this. What happened in Newark with the mayor and those members of Congress needed to happen. We needed people to see that you cannot assault a federal officer.
Yeah.
You cannot. It doesn't matter what your position is. You and I couldn't do it. We would have been on the ground in handcuffs and arrested and charged and for assault. I get it. We see this grandstanding and virtual signaling all over. Both sides of the political spectrum have done it. We've seen Republicans banging on Border Patrol doors in the middle of the night. We've seen Democrats do it, but we haven't seen it at this level before, basically set in a protest and trying to barge their way in behind a detention bus, all because there's criminal, illegal aliens in there. And they love to say oversight. We have the right to oversight. Yeah, you do, by law and by statutes, but you don't have the right to demand and assault federal employees. You can put all the little language you want, and that's what they do, by the way, on every appropriations bill, especially in areas that are, good for virtual signaling and press for them. They always put a little line about they have the right to conduct oversight, and they stretch that to the fullest extent, but they also don't have the right to just disrupt operations either. Right. Oversight does not mean interfering with police actions and jobs that the officers.
Of course, this is common sense. Go ahead, Pac-Man.
Yeah. So, Chief, this leads me into another one. So the Democrats are up in arms about one gang member that was deported, but they can care less about over 300,000 minor children in our country. Are they incompetent, or, you said it, they're complicit in the extortion of these children by criminals and human traffickers?
Yeah, they're incompetent. They're stupid. Those are kind of synonymous, but and a lot of it is intentional, right? They want to. They don't have a policy to stand on. They know. I believe they know in their heart what they're doing is wrong. So they're just gonna. They got 9 toes in the grave. They're gonna keep on pushing this issue because they like the divisiveness. They like to be able to say, "Oh, conservatives and Republicans and MAGA people are bad." But they're just so wrong on this, and they could care. They wouldn't stand up for Laken Riley Act. They wouldn't talk about the Angel families. They call that
never,
a political
Chris,
stunt.
never.
Yeah, that's considered a political stunt. But flying to another country and demanding that a foreign terrorist is given due process and returned back to the United States. Look, let me let you and your audience know and give you a above-board, public-facing timeline here. On day one, President Trump signed an executive order that he was securing the border and that it was an invasion. It was basically an emergency at our border, which the numbers don't lie. Then, right after that, he labeled many of these transnational criminal organizations as foreign terrorist organizations. MS-13, Trinidad Aragua, the Sinaloa Cartel, Gulf Cartel, it goes on and on and on. Then, after all that was in place, the Secretary of Homeland Security also put in her notice that she was removing temporary protective status and ending the parole of hundreds of thousands of people because the executive controls that. Then they invoked the Alien Enemies Act, which is a law. The president can do that. So he went through all the timetable, invasion, foreign terrorist organization, notifying the removal of protections, invoking Aliens Enemy Act. So this Kilmar Garcia, who is a known MS-13 member who has been ordered deported twice, but one of the removals was a stay because of his association with the gang and the fact that it was in El Salvador and they weren't going to send him back there. He was convicted, I think, of assault and other charges. Under the Aliens Enemy Act, as a citizen of El Salvador and a member of the MS-13 gang, which was now a foreign terrorist organization, he was removed by law, not because of a civil immigration status, but because he was here illegally and a member of MS-13. That is, and he's already had 2 deportation orders and hearings that said he is an MS-13 and he is subject to deportation, and the stay of his removal is no longer valid because El Salvador MS-13 is eradicated from El Salvador. So it just becomes a, and then oh my gosh, last thing on this, the nonsense, utter stupidity from members of Congress and the mainstream media that, you know, we're going to round up now, we're going to deport citizens, and I mean, this is just, I used to laugh at it, but you see people that are actually been voted into office thinking that the Trump administration is starting with illegal aliens. Now we're going to go round up citizens.
Of course.
Hell, we had members of The View talk about that they were scared that they may be put in concentration camps. I mean, this is ridiculous. And they have people that listen to them and vote for this kind of nonsense.
Listen, Chris, this hour, not to interrupt you, is flying by. I have 30 questions to ask you. Let's do a little rapid fire if we can. The last administration let in a boatload of terrorists. Are we tracking them down? When I was there with you, the first 5 people, 5 were like from China, 1 from Syria, all of our enemies. Rapid fire, let's go. Are we tracking them down?
Yes.
Next. Go ahead, Pac-Man.
More importantly, all the numbers that you just gave us and everything, what do we don't know? What do our listeners need to know? And is President Trump doing this only because he cares about the safety and protection of American citizens?
100% safety and protection of American citizens. I was on the calls 5 days a week, oftentimes 6 days a week with National Security Council, Homeland Security Council, talking about everything that we've been talking about today. Department of Defense was on that call, DHS, DOJ, some of the sub-law enforcement agencies were part of that. I can tell you everything that we're doing is about securing America, securing our borders at home and abroad to prevent the threats from coming here. There's always going to be threats, but we're going to do everything we can to protect America. And while we do that, then he can focus on economy and infrastructure and everything else. But he has made this a priority to keep Americans safe and those legally here in the United States, giving them opportunities. So absolutely 100%, this is about for the right reasons, and he knows he's got to get it done because that's what he got elected for.
Of course. Best means of protecting the border. Dogs, drones, extra patrolmen. What do we need to do to secure that border?
All the above. Personnel, technology, infrastructure. Personnel in the form of more law enforcement agencies or agents, whether it's Border Patrol agents, port agents, or even additional federal agents. Wall where we got to finish the job. We need the wall where it makes sense. In places where we can't put a wall because of mountains or the river, that's where technology comes in place so we can have consistent, persistent surveillance to give our agents situational awareness. And we need the policies and the funding to make it happen. One other piece that always gets overlooked is access roads. There are still places along the border that we can't get to 24 hours, 7 days a week because of rough terrain and bad weather. We need to make sure our agents can respond. So we need to finish what we started, get the several hundred miles of all-weather access roads installed so our agents can continue to respond and do the great work that they do.
Pac-Man, one more question before we need to take a break.
How are we doing with the stop of illegal drugs, especially fentanyl, that kills the Democrats, Republicans, unregistered people, everyone that actually is really, really hurting our children? How are we making out with that?
I saw a big bust the other day, Chris. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think it came in Arizona, or it was part of a task force out of Arizona, the largest fentanyl seizure in the United States. I think there's a big press release. You can probably find that online somewhere. That's one of the good things about when we reduce the actual flow of illegal aliens coming across. We can focus those resources back in the tough areas where the narcotics and heavy threats could come through, and also put our people at the ports back to doing what they're supposed to be doing. That's inspecting, not paroling people in. You also put the pressure on Mexico, and you put the pressure on China. That's why these tariffs are so important, that it means business, not only for our economy, but also for the well-being of Americans.
Yep. Let me squeeze this in, Kirk, before we take a break, because I'd be remiss not to say Happy Mother's Day to all mothers. Today, we honor the strength, love, a sacrifice of every mother around the world. You unconditionally love hard, and dedication inspire us every day. Thank you for all that you do. Enjoy this special day. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with Friends, Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Our special guest, Chief Chris Clem, will be back right after the break. We only have a few minutes left to go. Please don't leave us.
When you haven't found love, it can feel like everyone else has. It's in every movie, every song, and all the PDA. Looking for love sucks. Thankfully, California Psychics can give you the guidance you need to find the one. We guarantee if your reading isn't life-changing, it's free. And new customers receive 20 minutes for just $20. Visit CaliforniaPsychics.com and experience the joy of certainty. California Psychics.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-408-4040. That's 800-408-4040.
Retirement statements just hit mailboxes, and for many, the shock is real. Some investors lost 20% or more in just the first quarter. If you're close to retirement, that's more than a dip. It's a danger. But here's what most advisors won't tell you. Gold was up over 30% during the same time. That's a 60% swing. And at retirement, that kind of gap can change everything. So compare your Q1 statement to gold's performance. Then call Noble Gold Investments. Noble Gold specializes in helping people protect what they've earned with real assets like gold and silver. If you're tired of watching your nest egg shrink, it may be time for a change. And right now, when you open a qualified account, you'll receive a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar. Compare and call 877-646-5347. That's 877-646-5347. Or visit NobleGoldInvestments.com. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Investing in precious metals, including gold, involves risks. Consult with your tax attorney or financial professional before making an investment decision.
Dawn Stensland here. The extensive selection at Mercedes-Benz of Westchester, Wilmington, and Atlantic City combines luxury with performance across the full lines of sedans, SUVs, coupes, roadsters, and more. From the powerful engine of the 2025 C-Class sedan to the impressive towing capacity of the 2025 GLE SUV, you're going to find a luxury vehicle that meets your needs. Just shop Mercedes-Benz of Westchester, Wilmington, Atlantic City, PiazzaPremiumAutos.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Don't miss the Labor and Energy Show with J-Doc and Krause. Brought to you by the Labor and Energy Alliance this Saturday night at 6. Find out about the important issues that will affect you. The Labor and Energy Show, Saturday night at 6 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people. We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6481. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6481. That's 800-575-6481. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
Free speech lives here with Don Stensland, 10 till noon on Odyssey's #1 talk station, 1210 WPHT.
Yes, indeedy, we are back. You are listening to the Barry Sable Show with friends. My special guest, Chief Chris Clem. This exemplifies you, my friend. 7 o'clock in the morning, got up to talk. No matter how you feel, get up, dress up, show up, and never give up. Is that a good description of Chief Chris Clem?
Well, I appreciate that, and I agree with that description.
You ain't getting that on Fox News, pal.
Yeah, well, I kind of reflected on that. I was retired for a couple of years, living a good life, spending a lot of time with my family, traveling, enjoying some things. And, when the phone rings and says, hey, can you come up here for a little while and do what you do best? It was an honor and an opportunity. If the timing and things would have been a little bit better for me personally, I probably would have stayed a little longer.
Yeah.
But you know what? They gave me an opportunity to be part of something historic, which is always any administration's first 100 days. And we got what I initially sought out to do. We got that accomplished within the 100-day period. So, I appreciate those comments.
Of course. Listen, Chris, the time is yours. I need for you. I try to ask as many questions as I can within an hour. It's never enough time. Give us 2 minutes or 3 minutes before we end up closing out what you want us to know going forward, what's important in this administration, what the American people could look forward to. Tell us what Chris Clem is concerned with and what he would like to see happen.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that the Biden administration failed to secure our border, and that led to the worst border crisis in the history of our country. I think we've made that very clear this morning. I think the evidence is there, the stats are there, don't lie. So it's time to say, okay, let's move on. Let's just stop. Let's not forget them so we can prosecute where it makes sense. But we also have to build off of what we've done the first 100 days and going forward. So we're seeing the improvements on the border, but that is not a time to high five and just relax. It's actually time to get to work. So we need Congress to pass that big beautiful bill that's going to have all those requirements that our agents and our border communities need to make sure that happens. So we need to get this done right, so we don't have to go back and still talk about a wall 4 years from now or 8 years from now. We've got the technology and all that piece. It evolves, so we got to make sure we're doing all that for the agents. And remember, this is not about a political rally call. This is about securing America and strengthening America to protect Americans. And in order to do that, we've got to secure our border, and we've got to make sure, again, our military is taken care of abroad. That's how we get our economy back. That's how we encourage people to come in the right way. That's the other piece, is we've got to be able to, fix this broken system. Yep. We need to put Americans back to work. But if we can't find the American workers, if we're bringing back manufacturing, bringing back all this stuff, then we better be able to, clear up our immigration system so our U.S. businesses, our farmers, our small business owners, our community business owners have access to, capital and employees. If American people won't do it, I'm America first. Let me make that very clear. but we also have an opportunity to work closely with our neighbors to the north and to the south to make sure we have a strong southern and northern border, healthy economy in the northern and southern border, and a strong North America. But that starts with a secure and strong U.S. border. And I mean, those are the things that we need to make sure that this, because at the end of the day, what's this all about? It's about making America strong and our economy even stronger. And it starts with security. And we've got to be able to do that. And I think that's where I'd like to see where this conversation goes under this administration. But the president's doing it right. He's securing the foundation. He's making sure that it is rock solid so we can go ahead and advance this country even further when it comes down to its economic prowess and its place in the world.
Pac-Man and I are wondering, we're sitting here, 30 years of service. From Chris Clem, are we going to see a book? Are we going to see a movie? Or are you going to just coach Little League girls? What's it going to be?
Well, it's not going to be the latter. I will tell you.
Or snakes catching. I don't know what you're going to do.
I had thoughts on a book, and I've got one written. Obviously, I did some things and came back to work with the government, so I had to put a lot of that stuff on hold. So we'll do that. I'm looking at possibly a weekly podcast. And then I've got, look, I believe in living life. I'm never going to stop talking about this. I'm going to champion the success, but if there's problems, I'm going to call that out. So I'll continue to do interviews. You'll continue to see me on shows like Fox News and some of the Newsmax shows. But I've got some other ideas and opportunities to continue to enjoy life. My wife is, especially on Mother's Day, I'm so proud of her. She's put in her retirement after 29 years in education, been from a teacher to a principal to a special education director. So I'm a super proud husband. So we're both going to be retired together and looking at new chapters to just have fun.
Pac-Man is pointing to an empty seat here. He's saying, why can't Chief Chris Clem join us? What the heck? So the invitation is open. Anytime you like, come to Philly. We'll go to a ball game. Come sit in studio with us.
Well, I tell you what, if you throw in a Barry Sable back massage while I'm in the studio, I will do it.
I'll get it done. No problem. That won't be me personally, but I will get it done.
Well, hold on. Then we're going to go back to the negotiating table there.
Listen, Chris, we are out of time, but I want to say this much to you. Keep doing your best every day. And if no one is proud of you, be proud of yourself. Chris Clem, I, Barry Sable, am proud of you. Second of all, don't play that music yet. To Chief Chris Clem, well done is better than talking about it. Do it, and you've done it. To Steve Paccaraduni and my special guest, do I have music or not?
You just told him to turn it off.
No, but I'm out for the day here. Gentlemen, thanks for joining me this Sunday morning. Delaware Valley on your busy Sunday. Grateful to you for joining and spending some time with us. You have been listening to the Barry Sable Show with Friends. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Have a great week, a healthy week, a safe week, and we will see you next weekend. Thanks for always being there. Happy Mother's Day. Chris Clem, you're the best. Paccaraduni, I love you. We will see you next weekend.
Success is picking up extra shifts for your family. Now you want to be the boss. Success is getting your foot in the door. Now you want to take the next step. Success looks different to everyone, and University of Maryland Global Campus can help you reach your goals. And there's never been a better time to get started on your future. Apply now and save with no application fee. Classes start May 14th. As an accredited state university, UMGC has been transforming lives for over 75 years. With more than 135 undergraduate and graduate degrees and certificates, online and hybrid courses, personalized support, financial resources, and lifetime career services, achieving your dreams is more possible than ever before. Choose the program that's right for your career goals and get started on your next success. Get your application fee waived now. Classes start May 14th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
At Kitchen Magic, we believe the heart of your home deserves American-made quality you can trust. That's why we manufacture all of our products right here in Nazareth, PA, so you won't face shipping delays or tariff surprises. As a local family-owned company, we are proud to offer reliable service and custom kitchen remodeling you can count on. And this May only, enjoy up to 30% off your dream kitchen. Visit kitchenmagic.com and schedule your free design consultation today.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. If you own a timeshare, don't miss this important announcement from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. If you really want out of your timeshare, hang the phone up immediately or throw that mail piece in the trash and contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance with your timeshare. As the only Inc. 500 timeshare cancellation company, our knowledge, experience, and results has made Wesley a trusted resource for over 40,000 families we've helped get out of their timeshare. Give us a call, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about your timeshare and all of your options for cancellation.
Call for your free info kit, 800-384-7878, 800-384-7878, 800-384-7878.
WPHT, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Piazza Premium Automobile Studios, powering your drive with 10 brands and 20 locations. Always live on the free Odyssey app. The legend continues.
It's Sunday with Sinatra.
The legend continues for 68 years.